Welcome to the Real Estate Jam session. Today we're going to be talking about forging an investor mindset. It's something, if you want to find success in this industry, you're really going to have. And I'm very fortunate that Vikram Raya, he's a founder and managing principal at Viking Capital, and he's going to come on and tell us how he found the right mindset and then the path to success that he created for himself. So make sure you check out the video, give us a like while you're there, and if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name's Joe Killinger. I've been a real estate entrepreneur for over 20 years. And I use this channel to really walk you through all the successes and failures that I've had. And also I ask my guests to tell us how they have found success in the failures that they've had and how they've overcome them. So again, make sure you go to the video, give us a like, and while you're there, make sure you subscribe. Thank you. Vikram, I think forging an investor mindset is probably the key to when you're getting started. And, you've had some big success. You've got a big company that you're operating right now. What mindset did you put in place when you first started out?
It's about finding someone else in the industry that you want to be like initially and starting to emulate them. I have a concept called the 3 I's, and I just want to give some really tangible strategies for your listeners today, Joe. So thanks again for having me on the call. And it really is this. I first imitate. I'm like, all right, who's doing what I want to do? All right, well, there's 2 companies I really like. I admire them. What do they have? Okay, sounds like they have a team. They have some people. Fine, let me imitate them. And then once I'm doing that for a little while, I notice, hey, there are certain things that my specific investor base is looking for. Let me start iterating. Let me start adjusting, tweaking, these little 2 millimeter shifts, as we call them, right?
Yeah.
And then finally, let's innovate. Let's completely create a whole different product that is actually a distinguishing factor between my investment company and potentially anyone else out there. But it's a process. You don't start brand new. You sort of develop into brand new, or you develop into your own unique
process.
And so, yeah. So the advice I have for the amazing investor base that who's looking to become active investors, Joe, that you've cultivated here is identify the asset class you want to go all in on, get rid of shiny object syndrome, embrace imposter syndrome, and let's go.
Yeah. I think, there's thousands of these podcasts and YouTube videos and everybody, financial freedom, right? And they've got this, like you said, shiny object that, really distracts you from what is really going to help you. And I think if you really got to start off with the right mindset and understand that this is a game of patience. And, you need to find somebody and learn from them. Like you're saying, I think that's absolutely key. Who's your mentor?
Yes. I have had, so the way to think about it, this is to shift across the valley of despair that most entrepreneurs don't sometimes cross over, requires a sort of a mindset, kind of thing. And so this I know this conversation is going to be called investor mindset, but really you need to develop this like bulletproof mindset. And so obviously people like Robin Sharma, Tony Robbins, like Grant Cardone, all these, Robert Kiyosaki, you can name it, but all these books, and where I couldn't afford a real mentor, so I had the virtual mentors, or I had the books.
Right. Yeah.
Then I finally, ponied up enough money to actually go to a conference, and then I got this sort of general, hey, I think I can do it. My head gremlins, my head trash, I started cleaning all that out. The ants, the automatic negative thoughts, I started squishing them. Then I'm like, all right, what's next? The next is I need real estate knowledge. All right, who can provide that for me? There's the Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad themes, and there's like all these multifamily educational boutique shops that have opened up everywhere, right? So I'm like, So then I just joined one, and I was like, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but at the beginning of your journey, guys, to be a true investor, you need to adapt, ready, fire, aim. Stop doing ready, aim, and fire.
Yeah.
You're never going to get it right. You're going to make a mistake. It's okay, but make a mistake in the direction of where you want to go. So I realized, let me just join somebody and let's just learn something. And so I joined something. It was like my first thing, Joe, was called Filthy Riches. It was a guy named Jeff Goins, and he had this thing where you buy $4,000 homes and that no one wants off of auction, and then you flip it for like 10,000 or something. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I have 4,000 in my bank account. I could pull
Yeah,
this off. I was like, what is this? This is like a bunch of, crock. At some point, you
yeah,
realize it's not mainstream. It really is not going to, it potentially could work for 1% of the population, but it's not a
yeah,
replicatable model. And so I went through maybe 10 of those kind of things. And finally, I found a guy that I really thought knew what he was doing. Um, and I started learning multifamily the right way. I went to a boot camp, went to a course, I went to a conference, and there's an 80-20 rule. 80% of the people that go to those things, only 20% actually take action.
yeah,
So be the 20%, guys. You have all these books on your bookshelf. You have all these things here. Do you actually read the books? Do you actually, reach out to the authors? Have you done something with that, right? So
hmm,
once you do something, then it's like, all right, let's create an LLC, actually create an LLC, get a business system, get it going, and then choose a niche asset class. In Joe, you know this, there's probably 12 to 15 asset classes out there, at least for real estate, maybe more. But
sure,
are you doing self-storage? Are you doing car washes? Are you doing ATM machines? Are you doing land? Are you doing tax liens, multifamily, retail, hospitality, mobile home parks? What is
yeah,
it that attracts you, you're interested in, maybe you have some skill sets in, or you have some, uncanny ability to do? I chose multifamily because it made sense to me. It's so simple. Everyone needs a place to live. It's relatively recession resistant,
sure,
and
yeah.
you can scale it, and you can get traditional loans on it, and people understand it. Investors understand it, and it sounded interesting. So
And
let's
you
do
have the
it. And
passion for it. I can hear it in your voice still. You
yeah,
still have the passion for it. And,
yeah.
it's you and I both know there's peaks and valleys, right? And you hit that valley, you better have the passion for this business. Otherwise, it's gonna be pretty hard, right?
Everyone thinks that the way we do real estate is so sexy. Like, oh man, you just close the deal. Yeah, I'm a real estate agent. Yeah, I got 5 listings. Or like, hey, I'm a syndication
Yeah,
guru, and we just raised 15 million last night, and we're buying this deal. They don't see us like, getting your face punched in because the 15 offers you put in, all of them got rejected, or the fact that your first deal is a 1970s vintage deal, and you go open the door during due diligence and there's a dead dog in the apartment complex, and then you heard about a shooting, and a prostitute that got killed, and you're like,
yeah,
do I pull out of the deal, or do I still do it?
yeah.
So you got to have that stamina and the endurance, Joe.
Sounds like we've had the same kind of career. Some of the stories, I mean, they're book worthy. Let me tell you. Now, did you start off with this passion, or did you just kind of build?
Yeah, it built, right. I didn't
Yeah,
even know if what I was doing was right. My
sure.
background, for the people out there, I'm a cardiologist, and so um, this is not what I was supposed to be doing. I was supposed to be in the cath labs. I was supposed to be putting stents in, or I'm supposed to put a pacemaker, or someone has a heart failure, I'm trying to help get out of heart failure and give them a new heart, maybe, right?
Well, you're in the
And
right business for that, though.
yeah,
You have
and
heart
this was
failure quite often. Wait, Haley.
exactly. But yeah, what I realized was, look, I was sort of a body plumber here, and now I'm going to be like a actual plumber, right?
Doing the real
So,
deal.
right. But what happened was, look, this was a side hustle. This was just like all of the investors out there. Very few people just go all in and quit their day job. It
Right.
probably doesn't make sense for you guys to do that. Decide this is something you're interested in doing, and then you got to commit. What that means is nights and weekends. That means is when your friends are going out for happy hour, you're probably going to a RIA meeting and learning about real estate.
Yeah.
You're probably, when your friends are going to the NBA game, you're playing cash flow, the board game at home, to
Yeah.
learn the concepts. And once you get some specialized knowledge and you start taking hits at bat and like start putting offers out, you're in the game. You create an LLC, you have a bank account, you're in the game. You have a logo, you have a business card, you're in the game. Then it's like, all right, there's a phenomenal book, Joe, that I read recently that has still had an impact on me, and I want to share with your audience. It's called
Please.
Who Not How by Dan Sullivan, and
Okay.
it's phenomenal. We, as probably your investors in their former lives are lawyers, doctors, businessmen, entrepreneurs, whatever, but now they want to be real estate investors. I get it, but it's not just what do I need to know, it's who do I need to know.
Mm,
Broker
yeah.
relationships, appraisers, loan officers, debt banks, maybe it's an underwriter, maybe it's a partner. in my opinion, to be really successful in real estate, Joe, you really do need a partner.
I
I think
agree.
real estate's a team sport, and I know for a fact, I can vouch for this, that multifamily is a team sport. So we really need help to do what we want to do. And there's something else I would recommend for your investors. If they do something called a DISC score, DISC score, it's a behavioral analysis. It really shows you what you're good at.
Okay.
If you're what we call a D, you're sort of a visionary. You're a big picture kind of guy. If you're an SC, you're really data oriented, detail oriented. You really like crunch the numbers. If you're an I, you're very a people person. So depending on what you are, you want to find your complement when you choose either business partners or business relationships. And so it's one of the most valuable pieces of advice that I've gotten, and that has really helped me in my career.
Oh yeah, finding the a partner is, it can, but again, what I always tell everybody is, if you're going to bring in a partner, make sure that you're doing at least three people's work, right? Not just two, because then why partner? But if you find the right partner, you will do 3 and 4 people's work. And I think it's really, really key. How else did you vet? I love this disc. I never heard of that. That'd be a great way to start. What else did you look for in a partner? Somebody that, I mean, I don't know your strengths and weaknesses. You just look for somebody else that had strength in the areas that you had weakness.
I wish I was that intelligent when I got started. So I started doing multifamily in 2015.
Yeah.
And before that, I was doing single family. But when I was doing single family, I had partnered with different family members, and
Yeah.
it's good. It's fun to work with family because definitely the trust is there, but maybe the skill sets are not necessarily complementary. Yeah. So when you finally get to select a partner outside your family, it's good to sort of choose wisely. And I just found someone who had experience in the industry I was looking for in multifamily. Okay. Some commonalities. We had rapport. We got along well, socially. But then it was like also they had specialized knowledge that I did not have, and I had specialized knowledge that they didn't have. And so I found like we had a complementary skill sets, and that's a good way to get started. And obviously, what I showed you is a more of a scientific way to do it. But yeah, you really need complementary skill sets.
Yeah.
And a common vision and a common purpose and similar work ethic.
Yep. That's just going to say, you need to make sure you're headed in the same direction on the same path. Now, are you guys, I know you're an investor, are you guys operators as well?
We are. We're a full service, I guess, team, agency, company. We started off as joint venture partners on other people's projects just because we didn't know the game, right? We were still learning. But we did have access to what a lot of people don't, which is access to capital. So what I noticed was if I started educating sort of my investor base, which happened to be at that time physicians, I got them to understand what's going on, and I introduced them to essentially a sort of a new asset class for them, because they heard of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, maybe options, right? Yeah. Crypto wasn't big back then when I got started. So that was it, right? And so everyone also owned a home somewhere that they just were still renting out, but that was not really a real estate thing. But there was no real estate play. I introduced this to them and they're like, oh, this is interesting. But then one of the things that I know your investors probably will struggle with, which I did as well, is credibility. Hey, I'm getting started at, how do I convince people to work with me? Because, this is the first time I'm doing this. Yeah. What I would say is consider partnering with somebody who's already doing it and adding a tremendous amount of value to them. So we ended up bringing capital to other people's deals, and then we got to leverage their track record. So like, I would say, hey, Joe, hey man, how you doing? I understand you expressed some interest in our project. So my partners and I, we own X number of units. My partners and I, we have a lot of experience. And what we've done is we got this deal under contract, and what we're trying to do is X, Y, and Z to it. And right now the minimum investment is 25,000. If you want to invest, here's the kind of returns you can expect. How does that sound? And you're like, oh, cool. What's your experience? Well, my partners and I, we've done 10 years of deals. Yeah. Or, and so you're always really leveraging your partners, and you're all on a team. And so that's the beauty of that. It's a collaborative effort. And then at some point we decided, hey, let's do this on our own. Okay. How did you
vet those first partners out? What were you looking for? Just experience, or, what are the key points that you were looking for?
Yes. And I'm gonna say this for, if you're an active investor and a passive investor, because I'm both, like I actively invest in my own deals, but I also passively invest in other people's deals. And so here's what people look for. Like your investors are looking for this, and then you should be looking for this for partnership as well. Sort of the 7 main things to look for in a sponsor or a general partner or a person running these deals. Number 1 is, are they a solo operation, or is there a business team? Because if they're a solo operation, if something happens to that person, your investment's at risk. So you definitely look for at least 2 to potentially 3-person team. Number 2, do they have business experience or business background, or someone on their team has business experience or business background? Because I don't care if it's real estate, if it's self-storage, if it's more land, you're essentially running a business system, and you want someone who knows business and who knows how to operate business efficiently and effectively. Number 3 is, what's their track record? Have they done a deal full cycle? Have they bought a deal, ran it, and then actually sold it? Number 4, you can ask this, and it's a tough question, and very few people ask it. Have you ever missed a distribution?
That's a great one, actually. Yeah, that's key.
And here's the thing: I wouldn't automatically say, "Oh, you missed a distribution, screw you, you're out." And it's more like, "All right, I understand it. What happened? Can you explain? And how did you make it right?" Yeah. And a lot of times, you can't control, like COVID. Can you really control COVID? No, you can't. But you can adapt to COVID. You can be resourceful, right? And so it's more about how they adapt to problems, because inevitably something will happen. This Russia thing is getting out of control. Ukraine will that change the debt markets? I don't know. Like, always some kind of crisis or something happens that it will affect sort of the global real estate market, and you just want to be ready for that. And then finally, it's like, is there preferred return? I like to invest with groups or partners or people who provide a preferred return, because that means they value the investor money above their own.
Yeah, those are all great. And I think it's key, because getting in, I mean, you could get your ass handed to you really quickly for yourself and your investors if you don't find the right operator. And all these are key points. It's really very powerful information. Now, tell us a little bit about your company right now, where you're at, what you guys are doing.
Yeah. So Viking Capital sort of emerges more now. We're like a sort of a real estate private equity firm. We have close to 5,000 units. We have, I think, $600 million of real estate that we've acquired. And we're working in multiple locations. We own in Atlanta, we own in Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and Houston. We're looking to do a ground up development project in Phoenix. We have something going on in Columbus, Ohio. We have something in Indiana and in Washington D.C. And we went from being a regional player to now trying to becoming a national player. And we're growing our team. We went from a team of 4 to a team of 14 last year. And now we're going from 14 to about 24 this year, or close to 30 maybe. And our goal is really provide investors education, empowerment, and really give them the knowledge, the tools, so they can create financial wealth and freedom. And our investors a lot of them are high income professionals all over the country in many different fields. And these power earners are looking for options, they're looking for credibility, and they're looking for capital preservation, number 1. And then on top of that, what we do is we do bonus depreciation, which many of your investors may know, may not know. It's one of the most powerful tax vehicles we have. When you buy a deal, for example, and you invest $100,000, if you do something called bonus depreciation, which is cost segregation and sort of a rapid depreciation, you can give them the investors a $90,000 write-off in year 1 on their K1s as a passive loss. This is powerful for high income earners. So we do that. We do obviously the distributions, and then on top of that, we try to hit like sort of a 1.8 to 2x multiple on our exits for our investors.
That's some strong numbers. Where do you see multifamily? What do you see over the next 12 to 24 months? What do you think is going to happen?
I've been to so many of these conferences. I've talked to economists. Obviously no one really knows, but then we look at historical patterns and just try to get a sense of what's going on. I think there's a $1 trillion tsunami of equity that needs to be displaced, and U.S. is really the safest place to place it. No one's going to invest in Europe right now. All the other countries are sort of still not safe, and with them essentially quadrupling or quintupling the money supply, all that money needs to still come into circulation still. The stock market is, as you can see recently, has been very volatile. Crypto still not proven. And really that means real estate is the place to go. And some of the real estate markets, such as retail, there's some opportunities for sure, but there's also some danger. So people should be careful.
Mhm.
Same thing with hospitality. I've talked to some of the top hospitality owners, and they're moving into multifamily now. So it's like interesting. And
Yeah.
so self-storage is a bright spot. I think industrial is a bright spot. I think mobile home parks is probably more of a stable play too.
Sure.
In certain places, land could make sense, but otherwise, I think multifamily is going to be fine. You have to be careful with interest rates. They are changing week
Yeah.
by week now. And so you need to update your underwriting and analysis when you're checking out. If you're looking at a 5-unit deal or a 500-unit deal, it doesn't matter. Make sure your debt's in place and make sure your assumptions on rent increases are reasonable and not overly
Right.
over the moon, if you will. And if you have those in place, you can still find a lot of good deals. You have to be competitive in this environment where everyone wants to get in, but consider going to the secondary markets, some tertiary markets. Consider if you're usually in B, consider C's, at times, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
But and obviously stick to value add, because even if there's the organic appreciation slows down, this forced appreciation by you doing some physical or operational improvement will help your asset.
Yeah. Do you think with the interest rates going up, we're going to see more multifamily inventory coming on the market?
I think there is a good amount of inventory coming on, but
Yeah.
there's not enough. There's too much demand for the supply that there's there.
There's
What
a
I'll
lot of
notice
money.
is there's there'll be an adjustment in pricing a little bit,
Yeah.
but yeah, I still think it's a good time. It's still a seller's market. We haven't become a buyer's market yet.
Right.
It's still a seller's market, but the thing is, I see opportunity for the next 12 to 24 months still in multifamily before that slowdown in rent growth happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in Los Angeles, and I tell you what, finding a multifamily everything is coming out off market, right? So it's tight still, but I agree with what you're saying. It sounds spot on. Well, Vikram, thank you very much for coming on today. This information was great for our viewers. I appreciate it very much. And now I'm going to put your contact information down below so people can reach out to you directly if they are thinking about investing with somebody, or maybe they have questions for you. So they may be reaching out to you.
Absolutely. Our website's vikingmultifamily.com if they want to reach out to us. But thank you so much.
I'll put the link down below. So thank you for coming on. For those of you watching, thank you for checking out our video today. Make sure you give us a like, and if you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe.